I don't want to get stuck in this rabbit hole, but there's one thing that keeps coming out above all every week, and that is, will we be able to see Tenet?
Will we be able to see Tenet? It's the question on everyone's lips. Off the bat, I'm gonna say no. Well, I mean, oh well, shit. No, they just.
Well, this is it. This is what
they just announced.
Yeah.
So, but they right. So they seem to be announcing every other week something to do with Tenet. So I don't. How much do we? Tell us all what they've said, Stuart.
This is a fascinating thing because, well, look, if you're in tune with that sort of stuff, some people listening might be like, Tenet, what is that? A bloody, you just misspelt tent, mate. Festivals
what
are
is
off
that?
this year.
Is that new measles? Do I need a vaccine for that?
Tenet 19. Oh, sounds a bit terrifying. No, it's a new bloody Chris Nolan film, isn't it?
It's a big one.
And it's it's been the summer tentpole movie. It's the film that I think, what is it, Warner Brothers? Yeah, Warner Brothers, who are the studio that own it, and the cinemas that want to get back reopened. Tenet is the film that everyone is riding on, right?
Yeah, they want that to be the...
that while we've had like delays to a bunch of different films, you'll notice that Tenet has just been like, they'll edge it by like a few days, a week at a time, and they'll do it really last minute. They'll be like, oh, it's meant to be out tomorrow. Have it next week, you know?
Yeah, and every single person in the world knows that it's not going to be out when it says it is for the past few months because it's been
we're not
so last minute.
We're not dumb. It's like we know this isn't going to... At the beginning of the year, they're like, it'll be over by May, it'll be over by June, it'll be over by July. We know it's not going to be over by fucking July. So the Tenet is the one that's like, if we want a summer for the cinemas and films, Tenet needs to come out and people need to see it. As soon as you don't have that, the whole industry goes a little bit all over the place.
There's no film industry.
I won't go into too many details on exactly why that is. You can Google it. But after, having said that, this week the latest news was that they've basically said like indefinitely, we can't say. It went from being like it's gonna be out in June to then it was like it's gonna be out in summer. They did a mysterious thing, and then they were like it's not coming out. We're not sure when indefinitely, but then. And in the latest plot twist to it, they've sort of conceded it. Like they're probably going to have to release it if they want to release it, it's going to have to be released basically. Yeah. But it's not happening in America, which means we'll probably get it before America. And they've decided that they're going to release it in some territories before others, which might sound like. Of course they're going to do that, but that's kind of fucking unprecedented for like a film of that scale, right?
Yeah, usually they'll want to get all the audiences at once so they can get those box office numbers,
In usual times, which we're definitely not living in, that would be a very chaotic, terrifying and slippery way to release any film in the world. But their hand's been forced. And that sort of means we're probably going to get it before America, which is kind of crazy,
I think we definitely are regardless, because I think even if it gets put... Right, so this is what I was saying about... Yeah. They've said, August 26th, I think it is when they're now saying they're going to try and open to some territories depending on when stuff is all right, like the UK and Europe and stuff, but not America. But I think that's going to get pushed back in some places because it's all dependent on the next month, because it seems like pretty much everywhere is kind of creeping up again. So who's to say in like a few weeks cinemas are still even going to be open to go to?
Because this week is when cinemas are supposed to open in England, right? Which is weird. Like I'm not going to rush out.
Cinemas have been open for ages.
Well, no, they've been trickling, but like the big players like Cineworld and Cineworld that owns Pitch House, those are all opening mainly on Friday. Some of the Curzons and some of the indie cinemas were able to open last Friday. It's been a trickle, but as of this Friday, more cinemas will be opening. But it's like, I don't think, like, I miss cinema more than fucking any... Jesus Christ, I need to be back in the cinema. But I'm not going to jump out as soon as they open, right? And it got me thinking...
There's other more important things.
It's like, I don't know whether I'm going to want to jump out and see a Tenet immediately whenever it's out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what I was going to say. I think... they're fucked either way, unless I guess they're the only ideal way that they can actually make have a normal release with normal figures coming in for box office opening is if they put it out when all of this is over and done with a vaccine and people are back to normal. But they're not going to be able to do that. So I'm so interested to see what the box office figures are like. It's going to be like
weird.
Nothing.
Because also you have to remember that like whilst it's the film that cinemas and the studio want to get out as like it's the big film, they need to make money on it, and it's so one of the reasons it's so hot is because it's going to be an easy way to make money. No one's going to go and miss a Chris Nolan film, but But like,
People will in a pandemic.
There's also the aspect of like, no one wants to be that film or that studio or that cinema
that causes
a big spike. And like, if they suddenly release it and everyone's like, oh, well, it's out, cinemas are safe, let's all fucking rush to go see Tenet, and there's a big spike in cases, you've done a bit of an oopsies, haven't you, Warner Brothers?
I think what we're going to see is
yeah,
like an unbelievably long campaign in cinemas. That's literally like 2 years. Right?
But that's going to be so weird because it's like, if we go into 2021 and it hasn't been released yet, that is, it for many reasons, going to be a weird situation, and they're not going to want to just wait till 2021. So if they start dropping it in places this year, and as you say, if it's like a year, like if like 2022 we're still seeing cinemas suddenly opening with Tenet, that it's not just, that's going to be so whack for the entire industry for a long while.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say as well, like, and there probably is an answer for this, and I'm probably just being like naive about it, not know much about the actual way that the film industry like actually works and the ins and outs of it. But why are they so against like releasing it in a different way, whether it's like home release, whether it's like straight to DVDs, whatever?
Yeah.
Like why? Because he's like, Chris Nolan's like famously like, they've all been like, no, it has to have a.
Yeah.
But surely of a film of that scale, like if they put it out, for example, like what was it when The Invisible Man came out and it's like 20 quid when you buy it on Amazon? Because let's be honest, it's a money thing is the reason that they're wanting to get it in. It all comes down to a money business thing.
It's a business, of course.
The amount of money they would get if they sold Tenet on, I'd buy it for 20 quid.
Well, you say that, but this is the exact reason, is that like it's easy to think that, but you don't really know. Like, I know Invisible Man dropped, and it was great that you could get like some of those new releases, but they were 20 quid. And I know myself, I was like, oh, I don't want to spend 20 quid to download it on Amazon Prime. I'd rather watch it in a cinema.
Yeah.
There's going to be that aspect, and there's so many different avenues there. We got like Chris Nolan as a filmmaker is obviously going to fight to not have it put on VOD because he's very much a kind of classical, traditional guy, and that he wants people to see it in a cinema.
Your hand's kind of forced.
Your hand's a bit forced, yeah, but you know, big films, it's sort of like, in theory, it's easy for us to sit here and go, just release it online.
Yeah.
But obviously,
it's a different thing.
Obviously, studios aren't going to want to do that because you're going to get less than if you open it in a cinema. You just are.
But I was going to say, that's only if you're comparing it to if you open in a cinema pre-COVID. If you open in a cinema now, like I bet it's going to be like they're only going to make like not even 50% of what they would have made before.
But this is it as well. Like, as much as it may be frustrating and people might not like to accept it, but like studios in the film industry owes the cinemas as businesses.
Yeah.
Like, if you just take your biggest film of the year and put it on VOD, if the option's there, people are going to want to go see it in cinemas. But most people aren't going to go to cinema, like you said, if that's not an option.
Yeah.
So like,
but then I'd say like
push it on VOD,
that's not the film industry's fault. That's COVID's fault. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're all in a situation where they can't physically, like, it's shit that cinemas can't open to the extent they were to make money, and they probably won't be making profit for a while. But that is a result of.
But this is a problem. Is like, that's true. But if you suddenly start releasing a lot of the main films on VOD, I'm a strong believer that you should be going to the cinema. It's the best way to watch any film. I appreciate that there are elements that make it more convenient and easy for people, and also there's the argument that if more people are seeing it however they want to watch it, it doesn't matter if someone else prefers watching it at home than I would prefer watching it at cinema. If more people are watching it, that's good. But if you start to release your biggest films on VOD, I would still fund and go see them, and if I can go sit in a cinema, I'll try and go. But whether we like it or not, that's going to set a precedent, and that's going to change things in the industry. And I think the fear there is that, like, even though this is caused by COVID, and there may be whatever point down the line we're fixed from this, it's like further along down the line, the worry is that this becomes a norm, and we slowly and gradually are pushing that sort of move away from cinemas. And obviously, cinemas are very threatened
we
by
don't
that.
Want that.
And
yeah,
very
well,
scared
that's
by
why.
that.
That's why. Yeah, I think that like it's like that's why I think if they do want to get Tenet out like ASAP, the only way they're viably going to do it ASAP, like to the extent they want, is to like at least think about the kind of like VOD thing, and I think the other option, which is like, but then obviously this comes into the whole like, yeah, when you push it back far enough that it disrupts the whole industry, is that like the other option is hold off until it is safe to go fully back to cinemas.
And that's what I would say. That's the right thing to do. Like I would much rather wait longer to see Tenet in cinemas and know that 100%. I can watch it comfortably than have it rushed out and have to sit and watch a film whilst like it's easy to forget like when we go back to cinemas, it's not going to be like, oh, fucking nice, we're all back to normal now. You're going to have to like you're just not going to be able to sit through a 2-hour film without feeling uncomfortable, scared, having a mask, feeling worried about people around you. Well, also
it's like you don't. There's part of it where it's just like put it out in what if Tenet comes out and then literally 2 weeks into the release everything goes to shit again and then if they do hold it back, like some people have seen it, like things are out there of what it's about. It's like at the moment, I guess the thing they have to their advantage, which they've just got to figure out how to do it in the right way, is that if they, for example, did have to release it next year, that doesn't, to the viewer, to the person like consuming it, it's no different to if it was always going to come out that year, because we've never seen anything from it. It's a new film. Whereas if they put it out and then if it fucks it up and then...
I think that's exactly why they're so cautious about it, because that's like you said, arguably that's the worst case for them, is that they release it and then they suddenly people have seen it and then everything goes back with the closed cinemas again. Then you've got a really sticky situation where you're like, now your hand's really forced and they don't want to be in that forced hand situation.
Yeah. That's why it's like surely it's better to err on the side of like extreme caution rather than the other way. So
but also like, what if it's shit? I've been thinking about that a lot recently. Like, what if it is shit? That's going to really suck.
This is another podcast. Two people